How you been?
How you doing, George? I'm gonna go ahead and start the recording just so that if I get into the woods, I don't forget. So, but yeah, man, it's good to see you back. How you been?
Hey,
A
good to be
decent
back.
vacation.
Yeah,
Well, that's good. That's
couple
good.
of bumps in the road, but
Hey, I mean, as long as you're well rested and you're doing good, I mean, health is what matters, and probably other things more important. But we're always here.
yeah.
So that's good to see. Yeah, Chip, I think is in the room as well. So thank you, Chip, for showing up. I will give it a minute or so, maybe a couple of people waltz in. If not, not going to say today's a quick day, but we can definitely keep it like an open discussion on some anything related to networking. And now that we're in the new year, right? We're closing out the first month, and so I'm always curious to kind of know what you guys are like what's on your guys' plate. That way, if I can support you guys in any way, do some research on my behalf if it's that you guys are having a problem or wanting to do some type of special act that might not already be, outlined. Well, then I would always love to help you guys achieve your goals. That's one thing. So thank you everybody for showing up to this January 27th. It's a Monday. This is our networking webinar that we do. I can show you guys just to start off something new that I put in the library. So I guess I can show you guys that. Thank you, Estella, for showing up. And so, how do you get to your message library? Always under the Thunderbolt, message templates. And now we have obviously our little folder with the lock on it. And if I'm correct, I think this is under Legalshield Legal. And I think I put this, where did I put this? Here it is, the preferred legal plan and home business add-on. This was sent to me by Deborah Schaefer. She wanted this to get into the system so that she could use it. And I, of course, did that so that everybody could use it. How about that? So if you guys had the need to use this document, right, what I would suggest is that you guys either make um, folders, like copy the folders that we have, right? Or the ones if like you're just networking, so prospecting, legal and ID Shield combo, the Legal Shield, right? The ID Shield, like just create, just taking the folders that you feel that pertain to you and then creating yourself kind of like a copy, right? I don't have that necessarily here, but I do see a lot of people have that kind of organization, and I think that'd be good. That way, when you want to go and use one of our templates, I'll go ahead and show you how you guys can just, it's this one right. You can basically click on it, it'll appear. You can go down to the bottom where it says Save As, and then this is where it asks you what folder you want to go into. And then if I have, let me see if I have anything that looks like, and this is home business, small business. So if it, let me just put it in my default, and then I can put it in this little default folder that I have, and I can hit save. I could have changed the name if I needed to, but then again, that's up to you if you feel that you need to change it to make sense for you. You can change, obviously, the title once you now have it in your default folder. And then there it is. I'm not putting smart tags anymore so that when you guys come here, you guys can add your own smart tags just in case your categories are different than the ones that I have, right? Some people that's the case. So if that is the case, then I would like for you guys to import yours. Let me see, dropped a little my signature at the bottom. So if you have signatures auto populating, then you're going to want to remove this, right? That way it doesn't show up twice. What else? This is the document, and and then so now if you make changes to it, you can essentially save, and you can also make drafts off of these, like, or create a template out of it. I wouldn't really see the reason why you would want to create a template out of it, just because it's real simple, like how I create these, right? I just basically create a table. This one has one row, and then it has another row where I paste all of the screenshots into it, and then I hit enter, and it gives me a little space where I can put the signature right at the bottom. So the signature will go within this communication, and it'll kind of give it like it'll kind of format it so that it's directly underneath this PDF, right? Um, and then that's it. But there is maybe some other emails that you might want to kind of create templates with. I'm trying to think of, are any of these? Yeah, I was thinking more of the ones that are just kind of like written emails. See, this one's not in a table, so that just explodes the words from side to side. If it was me, I would like to keep them, so maybe I'll go back and see that. Put these ones into tables just so it looks a little bit more orderly. Plus, when you see these on your phone, you won't have to scroll over to view it. If you put it and you force it into like a table of 650 pixels, right, with the width, 500, 650 is about a good. Anything above 800, I would say you're kind of just getting into the same thing as not having it. And then, um, and then that'll keep everything kind of slender so that it can kind of fit the format of a phone. So that's always a good practice to do when creating content, just so that it's good both on the computer and good on the devices. I always highly recommend sending yourself, copies of these, seeing how it looks first on your phone. If your wife's got an iPhone and you got an Android, I would add her as well and then like send them to both of you guys so that you can see what it looks like on an iPhone opposed to, an Android and then on the computer. And then that way you get a good indication that the email looks good and then you can feel free to send it out. Have you guys had any challenges with any with like creating content and stuff like that? Or are you
Jeremy, the
Mhm.
question I have is the point size.
The point size like in this?
Yeah. Well, not in that, in the text that you have below that photo.
Okay. Like what's the
Yeah, because that right now looks tiny. Is that 14?
it's size 14. That's what it looks like, yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, if you want, right? So this is number 12. I think myself is in the CRM, and I think this does have an email connected to it. And there I am. Let's go to the template library, the number 12. So let's send that message over, see if I get it, how quick it takes for me to get it.
So when you have your table set up
Uh-huh.
and you have your signature being uh, auto generated or auto input,
Right.
it will be outside of that table then.
If I have it clicked where it says that, yes.
Okay.
Let me see if this one has it auto-generated. So I got it auto-generated for the text messages, but it looks like I got it off of the email. But I just got the email. And then so tell me how you think about this when it comes to visible font. Looks looks good. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's hard to see on the resolution of the screens, but for 14 point, that looks small.
I can tell you for myself, just personally looking at it, it's not hard on the eyes at all, right? But that's just
Yeah,
I got glasses. I think my screen's what, seven, maybe like 17 inches, and I could read it fine from the distance that I am from. However, do you see how it just kind of explodes all the way up to the
yeah,
full? So with that said, if this was in a table, it'll most likely look like something like this. You know what I mean? It'll be a little bit more compact. The font size is still for me doable. But of course, if you know that, and I don't want to say anything against people with age, but people's visions are obviously different, right? And if you know that you got a group with, some age on them and you want to make it easier on the eyes, well then definitely, expand the font a little bit instead of the 14, maybe go to a 16 and 18. I don't know. Let's keep this one as is. Let me just turn this back on and then let me see how changing the font to see how it's gonna look real quick. Let's go. Let's drop Marion in. Let's do this. Go to the template, library, group, legacy. Let's do a 12. And I'll go ahead and drop a table so we can see what that looks like. So we can do 2 rows, 1 column, give this 650, remove the border, give this some padding, and if we want, we can align it to the center and hit OK. So now,
Jeremy, would we use those settings for anything that we create?
use which settings?
The ones you just did when you were saying padding and all that.
Um, if you like what, yeah, if you like what if you like how it's going to look, like how I basically set these up, because I kind of try to follow that same type of format, then I would say, yeah, you can. Wouldn't hurt any. But this is a little bit of the proof of concept, right? When it comes to, let me just change this one to,
The only reason why I ask is because I won't know until I play around with it for a lot, what the settings should be. So if I can go back to your video and say, okay, he did this, 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 and this, and it looked good, then I'll do the same thing.
yeah, yeah, no, that's probably a safe rule to say. And then if you wanted to even make a further, take a further step with that, you could go to creating a folder. Let me see if and just put templates, you know.
Mhm.
Now you'll have a template folder, and then now you can build into this template folder, right? So let's just create a template. So I just created a place for it to say, hello, Jeremy, right?
Hmm.
Above the photo, but it also says hello. It also has a smart tag within, so I didn't catch that. But you could do that either way. So let me just show you how oh, I didn't change the font size, did I? Oh, look how it shows up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's me zooming into it. And so George had proved me right. But let's go to redo this. So just to create, going back to the topic of like creating a template, 2 rows, 3 rows, really just kind of depends on the PDF. If everything is something in which you can just grab in one screenshot, well then, maybe just 1 row. You could do it all in 1 row, you could do it in two. Sometimes I like to break it up, but then again, it causes extra space in between them. So it just really depends if you want to kind of keep it all tight so it mimics the PDF, then you most likely want to try to get all the screenshots into just one cell or 1 row per se. And then 650 is usually a good rule that I kind of follow when it comes to a graphic and some words. Um, Border size, if you like a little border around it, that's right. So we can see what that is. The cell padding and the cell spacing gives a little bit of just space around the cells. That's what I think the cell padding is, and then the cell spacing. Well, here, let me just do one without. So if you see that, the cell spacing is this little border, right? So if we go to and we hit 0, there is no space in between those two cells, right? That's what that is giving you. Now cell padding is a little bit different. It's within the words. So you see how now they're a little bit bigger, and then there's an invincible border within the cell where the words will obviously be. So if you don't like the words to be scrunched up next to the line, that's where you would probably do some cell padding to give you some room. And then if you wanted to see what it looks like to having both, that's what that looks like. It gives you some some spacing from the cell and the border. And then if you wanted to see what a thicker border would look like, you can kind of and and the only reason I know this stuff is because I just played around with it, right? But this is the border, and you can go as big as you want to give the feeling that you want to kind of give. See? And then if you wanted to remove this just to get the feel, whoops, there's got to be a 0 there. And then that's how that looks. So you see how the words go right up against the cell.
Hmm.
The cell padding gives you kind of a little give room around that. But
No margin.
right, right. So if you wanted to keep this as your template, right, you could always just save it. Oh, got to give it a name, template email. And I think you do have to give a subject, but you could leave this all blank, leave it like this, save it. And then now you can always come to here. You can click on it and you can click this little button and you can go new template. And now you can change the name to it. You can save. Now, there was a moment in which, I don't know if you saw it, but you could have saved that to a specific folder if you wanted to immediately get it out of the template and get it into the folder that you're going to be using. You could have done that. And then so now with this one, you can then go and grab any PDF and start playing around with it and creating your content, or taking any type of email that you wrote up in ChatGPT or assisted, and then you can just drop it into here and then hit save, and now you have a fresh email already built. following kind of like your template per se, right? So, and then, yeah, you can do this till the cows come home. I don't think there's really a limit to how many you can make and do with these. And so the more content, the more the merrier. You know, you can create holiday messages, you know, things that are just touches, or you can actually, you know, pull either from the blogs from,
Can you just show that, please? How to pull something from the blog and put it in here?
yeah, I think what is it, Legal Shield blog?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think I go to 4. There we go. So let's just grab this one. Now, I would use this maybe as the title, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's not too long. Debt correctional, how can you protect yourself against debt collectors? Then if you liked this photo, give me to select the state. Let's go to Colorado. And all right, so this is a difference. Let's skip this. So I use the snipping tool, right? Oops, probably should.
Where's the snipping tool?
You can Google it. Not Google it, sorry. Well, you can Google it and find like a snipping tool that you can download. But if you just type snipping tool in Microsoft Windows, it
Oh,
should.
yeah. I use that. Okay, thank you.
And then I would grab right within the picture. Now I've got the picture. I do copy paste, right? And so now with this one, I would have to most likely adjust the image to maybe, right? So it's 511. I created this to like 650. So you would want to, as much as you can, match it, right? And then I would click and maybe put some space below and see what else. Maybe we just copy this and let's give it a heading and use the same just for proof of concept. And then we can hit enter. And now you can start grabbing some of the content like this. Go. And you can just paste into it. You can see that this goes to a specific link. You can always test the link to make sure that it goes somewhere and opens up, right? So with this one, not going to say that it's going to be difficult, but to get this in a place to where that might be a little. And so let's copy the words first. Let's cancel that since we know that. Let's move that up. Let's see if we can split them vertically. Oh, we can. And so I would paste into that. And then there is just a minute little cell right next to it. So you kind of have to click on it. And then you can use your snipping tool. And I'm going to grab some white more on the left side. And let's see if we can get it to look nice. It didn't play out. There you go. Now the trick will be yeah, so that doesn't look good. So let's do some back. Let me find this one and delete the cell. And maybe we just put it right here and see if we can force it to the left in some shape or pretty horizontal, vertical alignment. No, let's do left. Let's do right. Oh, okay. I could live with that. That seems halfway decent. And then I think I grabbed all the way up until Ben does warn. Let's let Roslyn in. And then so right after that, put another space and let's go right up to here. Let's paste, see if it kind of follows the same format. Might want to highlight these in bold so they stick out a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I think that does a decent job of highlighting that. And then what we can do is let's grab this stuff. I don't know if it needs a period. And then let's paste. And then let's grab this photo. I'm thinking we can put it like right there.
Thank you.
And do image properties again, force it to the right. I like the way that one looks. And then this one is knowing, so let's go ahead and maybe enter that, give it its own kind of little paragraph. So you see how the words go straight. I'm definitely going to do some padding and continue to grab this. I'm not sure if you want to have the little blurb here with the legal stuff, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't hurt to include
So
it.
when we do it this way, we don't have to worry about them getting into that whole blog do loop, where they can just keep, looking and looking and looking. This way we can just send them one item and that's it.
Like you could vet the stuff and the content, you know what I mean? And just put it together and just share it with them, like as if you're just being helpful. You know, let's say this really speaks to you. What if you wanted to like add your 2 cents. Um, like the
Mhm.
like the King James Bible, Jesus's
Mhm.
words are in red. You could maybe put little kind of lowercase words of like what you're trying to say, maybe highlighted in blue or highlighted in red. Key points so that as people review this, they can kind of see your points because maybe
Okay.
you
Mhm.
read more into it than
Mhm.
they're possibly going to read into it. And what you want to do is you want to
Draw
show
their
value,
attention.
draw their
Mhm.
attention, but you want to show value as to why get my why even care about some of the stuff that I produce. And
Mhm.
one way that could be is your perspective, right? Or if you wanted to take this whole article, right, copy the whole thing, throw it into ChatGPT, tell it to summarize it,
Mm.
and maybe to write you an engaging paragraph of why this is such an important, concept thing you know what I mean? And create some content out of it. And then what you do is you could either link people to this and maybe you take little screenshots of the article where it says some of the highlighted points that you're referring to. And then that that gives a little bit more special kind of touch to it instead of, but you could, I mean, just by doing this is good enough, right? To share some important information with them. Maybe they're not necessarily paying attention to stuff, nor see the whole thing that you want to do is to spark their interest, and hopefully they see this and say, you know what, that's a good thing. I could use this, right? And I'm saying this is could be either for people that you want to prospect into it, or use and create this as touches for people that are already currently have the plan. What you want to do is you want to plant seeds in their head so that they use this stuff, right? Because if they use it, then they're more prone to keep the product for years to years to come, right? So when looking at this, I might expand this maybe over to like 700. I don't necessarily like the border, so that's not something I'm going to keep, but I
At,
am going to
at
consider.
least in the border not being that thick.
True, but in general, I don't think I would keep the border, right? But
Okay.
I would do this, expand it out a little bit. This to me
Looks nice.
looks right. So this is a little bit offset, but I know what you can do with the image is, so this is 650. This is the vertical space. We added this to 700. So I'm pretty sure if I put 25, oops, that's vertical. If I put 25 here, it'll move it over 25 little points to the right, and it might center it. Let's see what that looks like. There you go. Not too bad, Jeremy. So now this is centered. This can stay where it's at. The words look halfway decent in the sense that they're spaced correctly and everything. I don't think it's too bunched up. Now, when it comes to the font, this could be this could be a little bit too much, right, George? So
Yeah.
maybe considering doing not 20, but maybe 18.
I guess the question is, what is the default size? Because it says default.
I'm not sure exactly as since I am copying it from here, right? So I think from where you copy it has something to do with that. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, at the end of the day, now I'm making changes to it so that it does look a little bit more legible. So I think I did 18, but I definitely think maybe opening it up with the size definitely helps. But you can see how now when you look at this, right, it's kind of like, I mean, it's good that it's lined up right, but now it just looks a little bit too funky. I don't know. But let's kind of just make this all 18 to kind of see what it looks like. And maybe we can adjust it a little bit more size. And finally, so now everything is 18. So I'm curious to see if we just open this up to like 750, does that space these out a little bit more? Does look like that. Oh, still looks, let's see, put a space there. Oh, there you go. Looks a little bit orderly there. But yeah, still left this little word here dangling, but not too bad. Little easier on the eyes, I would say. And then, just check your links, make sure everything is going to the right place. Let's see, copy it. So you definitely maybe want to be careful with some of the links that they embed because these links definitely take you back to the product, right? Now,
Yeah, which is what I was trying to avoid. I just want to send them one article and that's it.
but if that's
Because
the
once they
case,
get in here, they can just, look forever, which I guess, it's okay. But
but you could unhyperlink it, right? So if
yeah,
you see that if you see that they're pulling you away, you can do two things. If it's a prospect, you can put your link, right? You can go to your login with your product, right? From your link. And are they getting rid of that? I heard that they were. Is that the case? Does anybody know?
they didn't get rid of our link. You mean to our website?
Yeah, I heard something in
No, they did. What they did was it used to be We Are Legal Shield. Now it's Legal Shield Associate. So all my, and maybe you can give me an idea on this.
uh-huh.
So I have lots of collateral out there with We Are at eblake dot We Are Legal Shield.
Uh-huh.
So I had somebody at one of my groups say, we tried to contact you, but the
That site
email
is
didn't, yeah, it didn't work.
right.
So I've got all this collateral out there and nobody can get to me. And I'm like, where is it even going? And how do I prevent that in the future?
So, I mean, a good reason why you would maybe want to have your own
Domain.
your own domain with your own links, right? Or
Then I can direct that to my domain. Okay.
you could, or you can direct it to like a Calendly link so that so that they're speaking with you. You know what I mean? And then that
Mhm.
way it takes them to the Calendly link and then they can set it up and then you obviously service them like, hey, I can help you with getting that product, right? But it just depends, right? If this is for a prospecting or if this is for a user, right? So if it's for a user, somebody that's already part of your network and you just want to add it, then you want to point everything to you. So your phone number, your right, and those things that you can do, right? You can take this, you can edit the link, and if you wanted to pick instead of a URL, you could have it set up to an email, or you could have it set up and go to a phone number, and then this is the phone number, right? And then so let's just test this out. So this is the phone. Let's hit OK. So that's that, right? Let's just go ahead and save this. This is a template email action plan 2 is what we called it. And then let's just send this to myself just to kind of see what it looks like. Template, that's action 2. This is the one. Let's just go ahead and send it.
Can you put that in our templates since you've
Um,
done all that work?
I mean, I could. I don't see why not. However, you guys could go to town. You know what I mean? You guys gotta see, the thing is, you guys get a lot of content. So if it was me and you were looking for touches, this is right here.
Yeah, I was
Great,
just
great
saying
example.
that so it could be like an example or
No, totally, totally. I get you. But at the end of the day, it's no secret, right? And then me, I'm just grabbing one. But the whole point would be to try to stay on top of a trend. You see a lot of things in your area, and they have a blog post that's real similar to it. Why not? You know what I mean? Why not be thoughtful? Because people will read into that. You know what I'm saying? People will read into the fact that you just took the time, built something, emailed it out. And if the timing is right, then right, not too shabby. So once again, this is it, right? It's over to the left. So if this shows up on a device, this will look decent. And then let's get to where that this thing here. So our personal and family legal plans give you access, right? So if you go ahead and click this, I don't know if you see this, but this just popped up. Since I have a phone calling app connected, this is offering to call through my Zoom. But if they did this on their cell phone, so if you were able to get to them and they opened this up on their cell phone, this would open up the call app. And if your phone number's in there, this would prompt them to call you. You know
I
what I mean?
like that. But I just thought of something else we could do with that too.
Uh-huh.
And so as I read this, it says when you become a Legal Shield member, our personal and legal plans, I would put in one of my links to something in my prospect that has my info that once they go to my prospect link, it would take them directly to me where they could
Then
call me.
remember how we've been talking a little bit about like Linktree and having like an online kind of business card?
Hmm. Hmm.
That would be
Ah, I
that would
got you.
that would probably
That,
be the best thing that
to
you
put
can
in
point
there.
exactly. 'Cause
Okay.
they'll have access to your email, they'll have access to your
Different services.
all like everything in order to connect to you, they'll have access to at their fingertips.
My
If
calendar and everything.
if you wanted to put other little buttons there to content, right? That's not necessarily talking about, but maybe like some PDFs about the, building a will or the reasons to, all of those little helpful PDFs. You could have those there so that they just get more of their questions answered, giving them more reason to actually physically give you a call through your link tree or communicating you. And then there you go. Now you've kind of turned this into a little bit more of an interactive document, but for yourself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So definitely something to play around with. Doesn't have to be these blogs. It can be really anything, you know? And then with the assistance of ChatGPT, you could always copy these things, put that into ChatGPT, summarize, give me an outline, give me something, help me build a prompt to then put back into ChatGPT to create, some helpful insight about this
And
article and why Legal Shield can help. And you give that kind of, command to ChatGPT, and then it's going to most likely build you based off of all of this information prompt that will help you reproduce this in in into what ChatGPT is going to kind of write it in your perspective, like you're trying to help people with it, right? And
mm-hmm.
and then now you have kind of like, and then what I would do is not always just lead with what ChatGPT gives you, but take in that information, read it, make sure that it is truly helpful, that you see the points, and if you can add your expertise to it, I would definitely do that. You know what I mean? Give it another level of proofread, analyze it, give it some of your special sauce, and then go ahead and write it out, edit what you need to edit, create this, and then send it out. I remember telling a real estate agent, you know what I mean? Like, hey, you should produce your own content and use it as touches. And she was like, what's that good? What kind of good can come out of that? And just pushed her. Finally, she started seeing some things happening in her community. I think a law changed. It was going to affect people purchasing a home and taxes and stuff like that. And she kind of took the article, went to ChatGPT with it, kind of built an email educating people about like the nuance with this new law, and she sent it out to a group of people that she had in her contacts in her CRM, and a lawyer reached out to her and was like, "Hey, you're spot on. This is truly, you know, this I like what you wrote." He gave her a lot of props and said, this is good material. You're not lying in any way, shape, or the words or stretching it. And then I think through them just kind of continuing the conversation, I think it took a couple of weeks for him to ask her if he could help her sell sell a piece of property. So people are going to judge you, right, by it. It's a way that they can kind of peek into your head and see if what you really are is being helpful, trying to, educate people on the best way to utilize their service and get the benefits from it. And if they value that, they're going to put you into some type of friend zone. And if they do that with you, well, then they'll respect you and other, right? So let's say you had your link tree, you had everything to do with Legal Shield. This was somebody that you found through Legal Shield. Let's say they're in your local area, right? So they're in your town, yet they know that you do real estate on the side, right? And they find that out through your link tree, because not only do you have your Legal Shield, but you got all the other things that you're involved in. And what if through that they communicate to you and they're like, I didn't know you did real estate. Do you think you could help us sell this lot? Perfect. You know what I mean? Now you've got another way to get into them and help them with whatever they're, you know what I mean? So definitely it could lead to other things happening. Or if it was a business and this was an H&R person, she liked what you put together. She liked how you explained it. What if they, what if she says, hey, I have a friend, HR, they don't have your product. I'd love for you to, reach out to them and talk to them. And she's using this email that you put together to open her eyes and forward that along. And now somebody else is reaching out to you, interested in the product that you've helped another person with. And so I could definitely see, just a different way of putting content together, not falling into the same old role that maybe other salesmen do. You know what I mean? They just, watch this video, do this, just simple kind of instructions. This is where you're actually kind of getting them to think. You're putting, good content in front of them. And who knows how many people maybe have turned this into something, right? Or have just strictly copied this and emailed it to somebody. So the fact that you're kind of taking this in, flipping it around, utilizing the bullet points, but really building something yourself, even though it's, assisted through ChatGPT, it's still going to look like something that's not a copy paste. Hopefully it's doesn't come off much as spam. And then now you have some fresh content that you can start to send out to prospects or to people that are part of your network and see, things like that. But yeah, this is content for you guys to, well, this is, I guess, a way that you guys can put this together. And you know what, I could even see you guys even, well, that's a little bit far-fetched. I won't say far-fetched, but something that you could do is you could take this and, they have AI now with text to video. You could dump this into ChatGPT, request to give this, to condense this into a prompt so that you can put it into a AI that does text to speech. And then it most likely will take this information, summarize it, and kind of create it into a prompt so that you can put it into a text to speech kind of AI and see if it can pull out like a nice little video. And then you can post that video all over the place, maybe Facebook, social medias, draw attention either to your link tree and that kind of stuff. So if people see it, they go to the caption, they see that you have a link tree link, they can that way access you. And then not only are people seeing this through Facebook or through any of the social medias that you use, but hopefully it draws the attention back to you to answer anybody's questions, And so plenty of things you guys can do with this. I see, to create content, create touches, utilize it for prospecting and or just expanding your network. You know what I mean? Anytime you can connect with your viewers or your network, the more likely they would like to refer you to somebody else, right? The more likely they would add, or that they may ask you, hey, do you have a time to talk? I'd like to see if there's any other products that Legalshield has that would benefit me, and you can have that conversation with them.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Yep, indeed. I guess with that, I'll go ahead and end this session. I definitely think we covered a bunch when it comes to creating content, and then some good practices, maybe creating a folder for templates, saving a template so that it's just a matter of you finding a different, finding a new article or finding something, going, copying it, putting it together, and now having content for yourself. Oops, this is the action plans. And then sending it out to your network. I think that would be definitely a way to create some touches, and then everything that you create, you'll have hopefully another folder where all of these are produced. And then once you get into 10, 12 of them, turn it into an action plan and then space it out. So maybe 1 or 2 things a month go out. And if you feel that it's best for retention because the way that it's worded, perfect. Or build two types. One's that is more of a, hey, I just wanted to, to share this with you so that you knew the best ways to utilize your subscription. And then you could spin it the other way around if you're on the fence about purchasing, one of these legal plans or Identity Shield. Here's something to consider why you need this product and how your family could utilize it, right? So, yeah. So sorry about that. My son was leaving to karate, so I just wanted to make sure he had the key. But yeah, so then you can create 2 versions of it. You can use it for prospecting, or you could use it for just being helpful with people, and then just send it out to the people that you have in your network with some light touches, maybe two or 1 a month. And then right there, if you do that, that's anywhere from 12 to 24 touches. And I would probably say that's a good, that would be way better than nothing, right? To kind of stay in the forefront. And then when you started to do holiday wishes, and when you started to do, maybe you mix in every 3 months an email that talks about how the best way of, the best way of appreciating your hard work is to share your information with your family and friends. And so then, you know what I mean? By you asking that and them seeing that you send out helpful information, it could say, you know what, maybe I will share this with my friend who, maybe doesn't know about you and doesn't have it at the workplace, right? That kind of thing. So, or if people, yeah, I could see people sharing this with people that don't have it at their workplace. And then if you are in the group arena or wanted to, get a toe in the water, maybe that person does the referral and then now you have a new company and maybe you can position this like, hey, somebody from your company was forwarded this email from somebody that already has this as a benefit, and your company doesn't look like has it as a benefit. Would you like to consider it? And then maybe that's your foot in the door to getting a group contract, right? I don't know. Trying to think out the box there, but anything can happen, especially if you're out there sending out material and creating content. I think it should do you some good. But I'll definitely leave you with that. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask or send me an email and send me a text. And I guess we could look at this in particular for your situation. And I can help you build a couple for yourself. And hopefully if you learn how to do these on your own, you can be a lot quicker, spend a couple of minutes every week, create some of these, stockpile them, use them, and then turn them into an action plan later when you have a decent amount. But could be something that you guys definitely benefit from.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Well, everybody, it was a pleasure. You guys have a great Monday.
Had a great week. You too.
Absolutely. We'll be talking, guys.
We'll see you next
Okay.
week.
All
Absolutely.
right.
Ciao, ciao,
See you
everybody.
Thursday.
Indeed. Bye-bye now.